kicked off. It was about 4:10 a.m. In a lot when we left the hotel. And shortly thereafter, as we were driving north, we got our first bird of the day officially. And it was kind of impressive and unexpected. We didn't know if we'd be able to get any digiscope shots in the darker light conditions. But this was using the 99mm scope with the night mode on the newer cameras. We're able to actually get these identifiable photos of greater flamingos at a third of a mile. We were over here at this hairpin curve. The birds were across these salt pans all the way. But great start, and at the same time a little bit disappointing, because traditionally these salt pans are really great spots for gulls, which we wound up getting just, I think, 2 species of Laris gull in total on the day. So that was one of our kind of disappointing misses, but also a success. We drove from there up to AM 76. Yes.
To be clear with the light, then sunrise was still an hour and a half away from that photo.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just low light. It was
no light.
It was no light.
Yeah.
There was reminiscent light from the city, but that was it.
Yeah. That was just strictly the ambient light from probably the hotel strip nearby, and whatever the birding center had. But yeah, it was surprising. In the binoculars, you couldn't see those birds. So it's kind of a testament of what you can do with good light delivery. We drove north from there up to kilometer 76. And the idea here is kilometer 76 is a patch of greener desert in the Arava Valley of the Negev Desert region. This was taken the day before, along when we were scouting, or a couple days before. That's green by desert standards, so it was attractive to the birds on this particular spot. However, this boils down to one of the other challenges we had. We had 2.5 days of scouting time, and we filled every moment of those and used them to their fullest, but it still wasn't enough. I put together a route kind of in my head using driving times from Google Maps after we'd done our scouting, but what I missed was our timing. So we got there around 5:50, 5:45, something like that. Crested larks were singing in the background, but it was still black. We got out, it was kind of cold, we couldn't do anything, so we got back in the van, turned on the heat, and waited it out. So our second official bird was right here. Didn't come until 6:12, when Eric was the first to spot the white stork up on this tower nearby. So that became bird number 2. You can see the difference in lighting in just 7 minutes by 6:19 on the right there. The same subject made a big difference, and at that point is when we probably should have, and if we do this again next year, that's when we'll probably plan to start scoping for real. There were, to give you an idea, this is 6:22. We noticed at the same time birds streaming by, both black kites and Eurasian marsh harrier seen here, were streaming by in 1s and 2s at a time, but all starting to move north over the DMZ, the demilitarized zone between Jordan and Israel, looking west. Another black kite here flapping along. And as you looked in the DMZ, there were literally hundreds of these black kites primarily dotting the landscape, which was really impressive to see. All right. The other thing that was happening was a big flock of Spanish sparrows. I mean, birds started popping crazy at that point. It just, when the switch came on, I think all 4 of us were looking pretty much in different directions, sort of back to back in a corner, shooting independently. So I I remember what I shot. Austin was also he was our tally, keeping tally, and we'd be shouting out, I just got this, I just got that, and checking them off on the list. But those were my first birds, at least, I got Spanish Sparrow next, and Rob and Eric, you guys were all looking in other directions. What were you guys getting? I remember there were other birds you were snapping off at the same time.
I was pointing into some of the on the side of where the track was on the where the reeds come in and things. I think the first one I got was the stone chat.
Right.
It was still quite low light there, and one or two warblers. Because I was using the DSLR, and the straight scope, just a tactical thing, just to try and pick off birds in flight. But it's also quite good for birds that don't hang around for too long. So that was, I tried to sort of task myself with that, really.
Yeah. Eric, where did you were shooting the same direction, basically, I think, or similar to what Rob was.
Yes, I was. So I got that stork to start with, and then we were. I got a ton of photos of these Spanish sparrows, and then I saw you were getting on those. So I was like, all right. I turned around, and there was that babbler up on the top of the that canary grass, or that those cattails, whatever that tall stuff was. So I got a couple of videos of the babbler hanging out in there. That was pretty obviously easy to see, and then not so easy to photograph with the light being that low, and it kind of mixed into the stuff.
Yeah, and it turned out that was the only babbler we ran into or captured that day. So that was a good capture. I didn't notice him my way, but I was just trying to snap everything I could. At that point, it was just like gangbusters, like someone had thrown a switch, and all of a sudden, okay, that's on. And we were getting as many birds as we can. Now, the downside is at 6:20 was a good half hour after I anticipated we'd be able to start there. And even then, even though things were popping, it became pretty apparent. Okay, so we're already a half hour behind, from before we began. But it also became there, it was just, there were too many. And I think we wound up staying there about 2 hours, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've given it, I think, an hour 10 or something, but with us starting a half hour late, and then went a little bit longer than anticipated. We're behind from the get-go. The beautiful thing was, or I guess happy thing was, that even being behind schedule, we had a very fluid route, because we were digiscoping, and not, any bird that we saw and heard, if we didn't get a picture of it, didn't count. So it's a moot point if we didn't get a photo of it, so a little different priority than a typical team. And so, we did less stops strategically with more time at each stop. But anyway, just an idea of where we Spanish sparrows and the reeds on the inset at 6-something, 6:30-ish. And then after we left, it was almost like 7:50, I think. There they were on the road. You can see the difference in lighting, but even still, it was a warm, low light at that point, even as we were leaving that area. Along with the many, many, many black kites, there were handfuls of buzzards that were also dotting the landscape on sand berms and things out there in the desert. So got them. Another very common mistake is to miss the common stuff. You take it for granted. You're like, what do you mean no one got a picture of rock pigeon or Eurasian collared dove or house sparrow? So I stopped shooting all the exciting birds, if you will, to get some of these mundane birds that were sitting there too, to make sure we had them in the bank. So that was my next thing before going back to again shooting what was there. There's a black-eared wheat ear on the barbed wire at the DMZ. At the lower left is a very warm northern wheat ear with that golden light on it, almost looks like an accenter or something, but it wasn't really orange, just the lighting kind of highlighting it. And then the white spectacled bulbul as well there. Again, I was concentrating mostly west. These guys were looking north and east. I was looking south and west primarily as we were shooting along. I got western yellow wagtail. There's the flava or subspecies, the blue-headed subspecies of them. Some of the pictures were actually quite good, but that wasn't our goal. They just had to be identifiable. We did get a few pretty pictures along the way, crested lark, great gray shrikes, Kretschmar's bunting. But yeah, here's the breakdown. We were there an hour 50 minutes, and we left with 30 species. Actually, I think it's 30.
With that great grey shrike, normally for me to get the opportunity to digiscope a great grey shrike would be like the wow factor, but there I kept seeing the bird silhouette. Oh, something new, another great grey shrike. That's how it got you on the day. Normally you'd be overjoyed to be digiscoping that, but
yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing. We stop and smell the roses more than any other team probably as is, but that's the thing when you're doing a big day, is you have to kind of crack the whip and keep yourself moving. And Austin was said, "We're 45 minutes late. We're 50 minutes late already." We were in trouble.
Adapt at that point, but we were getting a lot of species there, so it was definitely worth it. But turn out the window at a certain point, just kind of follow the birds.
Yeah, and in the morning hours too, is when bird activity is at its greatest, and we were attacking a lot of species on. So we left at 31 species. I thought that was correct, and moved to the next wadi down. Got a few more there. Here's a mass shrike. Got our only white-crowned wheat ear, which is a bit of a surprise. It's a little lower for it, but it went up onto the cliff face across the way with food. Black start here as well. We left there at 8:12 with 36 species, and took a fairly long drive from there down to Yotvata, an agricultural area, and Yotvata, when we got there at 9 a.m., but if you notice in the highlight here, I said we didn't get our first image until 9:27, and this goes back to our maybe not, I don't know, I didn't really have that cutthroat feel, but in a way, there's no one chasing us. As soon as we got that first greater flamingo at 4:27, we already had set a new record for a digiscoping only or photo only team, as there'd never been one. So we were only competing with ourselves and trying to set a bar. But we pulled into the restaurant here, and we ordered some sandwiches and had coffees made, and sat down and even ate them. I think it was, not exactly the not that we didn't try or work hard, but we took a little more relaxed attitude, probably. And looking back, that was probably a mistake that probably cost us 100 at that time of day. Those were precious hours. We probably should have cracked the whip there, but I don't know about the rest of you. I felt like I needed coffee already. So yeah, but yeah, we finally did. We started big. I think the next bird species we saw was this blue cheek bee eater on the right here, on a wire. We got Palestine sunbird, in the same area, like right behind it. Then we started getting into all these different warblers and things. Here's a graceful prinia and the first of many common chiffchaff, but actually they're flitty. So any of those that you get in the scope and get an image of, you're like, okay, hey, we did it, look at that. So that was the next thing. And I think we saw a lot of birds here, or a couple at least, that we didn't get pictures. I think, Eric, didn't you have I think you had a common white throat here that we couldn't get on.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was actually, I think, in the exact same bush as that prinia, and it was it hopped up to the tree above it and down. It just was not cooperative.
There was a lot of birds, a lot of bird activity, birds like flitting around between these 2 or 3 different bushes there. And I think we reported or saw an eastern Benelli for half a second there. It just disappeared. Had eastern Orphean warblers there as well. But we got, I think the only ones we got in the bag were Orphean, the graceful prinia is not a warbler, but still the common chiffchaff and lesser white throats, if I remember correctly. But a few got away there. We had opportunities to add a couple more species there.
You could the trouble is you can easily get sort of like too deep into the task. When you're trying to get these warblers, it can just consume minutes, can't it? You're waiting, and then you're thinking he'll come back up, and then you miss it. Just right. Let's get to somewhere where we can just pop away on the camera and just get as many species. But yeah, they're so tricky, aren't they? They're so tricky to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Another bird that probably cost us some time was this beauty. We all just wanted to shoot it and shoot it and shoot it. It was one that I really hoped I might be able to get on my digiscope or Kowa Scope life list. They're just spectacular birds, the white-throated kingfisher. And when this first popped up, so Rob, you've gotten what the European stone chat in the morning, and we saw another stone chat there and kind of took a picture of it and moved on. And didn't realize after the race, and I should have put the picture of that bird in, but the second bird was actually a Siberian stone chat, a separate species. And that's why, even though our official total is 96, because that's what we handed in on the list, and reviewing a couple days later, it's like, oh, here's another species we missed. So, they love you. These things happen. So we did physically manage to photograph 97 species on the day, but submitted a checklist with 96. So that's the official bar. Here at Yotvata, we hit the sewage ponds. We got many of our first water birds, which would carry us throughout the day. And we left there at 52 species. I don't remember what time that was. Doesn't really matter. It was late, probably near 11 at that point.
Starts to get really warm at that point, doesn't it? Really warm.
Exactly. That's the other thing too. Why I say that, in retrospect, the breakfast stop probably wasn't the best move strategically, because it was still somewhat cool there. And like you said, by the time we left here, it was definitely, we're in the heat of the desert at that point.
It looks like we spent a full hour there.
Yeah. So we're leaving at like 10 even?
At least, yeah. So my phone auto calculated the times back to Pacific time, but it was from the first photo I have of that bee eater to the last one of the the spur wing lapwing as we were leaving. That was a full hour.
Right.
Wasn't that where the elusive turtle dove that enraged?
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm the turtle dove. I took that out of my head.
Sorry.
Yeah,
you don't want to talk about it.
Opportunity. Turtle dove is a rare and endangered species. For the last 21 and through 20 and 21, was kind of the bird that they collected funds for during the COVID years when there wasn't live races. But it's a bird that's dropped dramatically throughout Europe. Gorgeous bird. And I remember coming around the corner and having a turtle dove just point blank, 20 foot away on this dead branch, sunlight's over my right shoulder coming right on this bird. Totally obscure. I get it in the scope, get the scope set up, and I go and I put the camera on just then. We're out at the Yotvata sewage facility, which is really, you're out kind of in the sticks there. I guess the county official or somebody official was coming by sampling water for mosquitoes and walked like right around the corner, right where the dove was, and it flew off, never to be seen again. I was like, this far away from adding it to our list. So that was needless to say, I was excited. I mean, I didn't take it out on him, but I was very upset. I was like, it could have been a hero. Near misses. Thanks for bringing that up again, Rob.
Yeah, I do apologize for opening that wound again.
Just about to recover from that wound.
Yeah.
Would have been a fine Kowa Scoping lifer too. But I love you. So we worked our way south from there. We did make another stop at at Eliphaz Reservoir, which requires going past and doing 2 U-turns. Eats up some time, but we did get a number of birds there. I think we added like 6 species there. What all did we get there, guys? Caspian tern,
spoonbill, cormorant.
Spoonbill, great cormorant.
Did we get the Eurasian curlew there as well?
No, that was at K20.
That was
the next stop. But there was something else. We got our first of, many, I guess, gray herons there. But yeah, we added like 6 there, but it eats up some time because you have to go past, drive around, flip around, wait for a light, come back. But it's a gamble well taken because anything that's on that reservoir is kind of like literally shooting fish in a barrel. They've got nowhere to go. There's no vegetation on it. It's a plastic lined reservoir out in the middle of the desert. So, and often it has other duck species. On the countdown the day before where they reviewed species, they'd had like great crested grebe had been there. And even I think black-eared grebe was a possibility there, fruit nest ducks were possible. We didn't see any of them. Still think it was worthwhile because a number of those birds, that's the only spot we got on, like spoonbill, our only Caspian tern, our only osprey. So worked the trek. May have been our only cormorants as well.
Yeah, it was.
It was, right? So, I mean, it made it worthwhile to get 4 or 5 birds in whatever it took us 15 minutes. But yeah, we finally got around. Our next stop was K20, and K20 ponds is also known as the flamingo pools, and it's these settling pools with dikes, extremely birdy, and this is a target-rich environment for us. You can see just here's just sort of the landscape shot, and you can see there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different species I see right there. Slender-billed gulls and black-winged stilts, the greater flamingos, northern shoveler in the foreground, little egret and cattle egret to the left side, maybe more. At any rate, we made our trek around there. Took about an hour and a half there, and left it with 70 species. And you can see here's the Eurasian curlew at the lower left, one of the worst pictures taken of the day, but again, arguably identifiable. Yeah, well, you can put it on a cliff face, it'd be good. But a lot of our first water birds, black-winged stilt and Kentish plover and little stint in the top right, common ring plovers, ruffs. Redneck feather was a good one there. We garvey, pintail, shovelers all together there. Got a better picture of a hoopoe as we were exiting. This was an interesting period too. It was hot. We were kind of beginning to hit the wall a little bit, I think. But the other thing that happened here that made things interesting was the news had just come out with some of the unrest and politics that they had shut down the Tel Aviv airport. And significant others back in the States in the UK had heard about this and were calling us. And it was a pretty major distraction, I think, that took our minds out of the game a little bit at that point. Yeah, exactly. And it wound up amounting to nothing. But at the time, it was it was real, and it hit us right here, as we were doing this. So, I mean, there was a lot of distractions going on with that too, which may have slowed us down a bit, but nonetheless, 70 species already by midday, and we still had a good 6 hours of light plus to play with. So we're feeling pretty good at this point, even though you're hitting that midday lull. And I don't care where you do it, when you do it. It seems like everyone that does a big day, in the heat of the day, bird activity's down, you're tired, you're hitting the wall. It just seems there's this predictable lull that always happens. And we were in it. We worked away from there, kind of made a quick stop at K19 pond, and got maybe another bird or 2 there.
We got the Benelli's eagle.
Yeah, that was the highlight, right? There's
you
pull up and sitting right in the middle of all the pigeons and things, acting like it's one of them. It's a giant, juvenile Benelli's eagle sitting, amidst these hundreds and hundreds of pigeons and colored doves. If I never did get on it when it was still there, then it flew. I did get a little video of it flying, but I think Eric, how were your shots of that Benelli's eagle? Do you guys
I got a pretty good video of it sitting there looking back and forth, trying to see if it actually did look like one of the pigeons. It was kind of comparing itself to the pigeons.
The funny thing is, we didn't notice it at first. All of a sudden, it's like, holy crap, what the giant bird? It's like, oh, it's bonus. So that was kind of fun.
We got one, but there was a lot of heat haze as well, wasn't there, at that point?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With the heat
Way
came
off.
the quality of the images. And the lighting was very stark too, in the same at K20. It was that very high contrast, directly overhead type lighting. So the image quality went down. The other thing I remember at K19 was at Yotvata, we managed to get the blue-cheeked wheat ear and ran into the Arabian green wheat ear at the sewage ponds. Got images of both of those. But European de-eater, even though we're hearing them overhead and they were passing by, kept eluding us. And there was that one at K19 that was, we kept it fly catching, but never see where it landed, and then none of us ever did get that one. But I think that burnt some more time there. At this point, we finally made it to IBRCE, the Alot Birdwatching Center, just south of there. Now we're basically in the outskirts of Alot at this point. There's Noam Weiss, the director there, with on scouting day the day before, with a real surprise of an Isabelline strike, and also members of the Women in Step were there amongst many other teams. There's Lisa Shibley and Patricia from Uganda representing some Kowa there, but we did get some birds there. I remember it was difficult birding. It's hot. Bird activity was real low, but we did get our first blackcap, raising blackcap, our first laughing dove that we got pictures of. The Cratton Cole was a new one, and there were a few others. I think striated heron. I can't remember all, but we left there about 4 p.m. with 80 species. At this point, we again decided it was time to regroup. And we did again the unthinkable. We stopped for dinner at that point. We went down into Ilok proper near the hotel, but it gave people the opportunity for a proper restroom break if needed. We ate as quick as we could, but also there were some staked out birds in Ophira Park right there that we knew we needed as well. So it wasn't a complete boondoggle, but just a good opportunity. And I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I feel even though, we could have kept birding and pushed through, maybe gotten a species or two. I feel like that was a turning point for me personally. It's like I feel like totally refreshed and a new person after that.
I think
we came out the gate.
Hustle's on at that point. We're close to 100 acres in sight.
Yeah.
I think you got 4 or 5 species whilst the other 3 of us were ordering our lunch, didn't you?
I ate fast. I ate fast, and I did. I got 5 species there, I guess. Red-throated pipit at the left, tree pipit on the lawn there, top right. Got the rose ring parakeet, got common mina, and I got rock martins flying over. The other bird that I got there, which I have listed as, I know one of you got it earlier, and I can't remember where. So when I was kind of doing the count, I counted white wagtail here because that's the first one I got as a new bird at this point. But I think Eric or Rob, even Paul may have gotten. All you guys might have gotten that earlier on, but I don't recall
I got
where.
it early. I can't remember where before Ophira, but I got the minas there. I got a house crow there. I got a much lower quality image of that parakeet than you did there.
Well, yeah, you guys were dining at that point.
I was shooting through a window.
Yeah, you got them though. Anyway, that brought us up to 86 species though. And again, I've tacked on the white wagtail here, so I guess technically it would have been 1 ahead on the count. Next stop was North Beach, and everyone kind of convenes at North Beach in the evenings because a lot of birds would come by, fly in. As soon as we got there, Rob nailed the first one, even as I was still getting out of the band. You picked up Sandwich Tern for the day. as I recall.
Yeah, it was
and there
out
some other
on
birds.
the buoy, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you got it. I still hadn't gotten out of the car. You already had an image in hand, so that was good. And we had white-eyed gulls there. Got lesser blackback gull. There were some other Laris gulls way in the distance that kind of eluded identification that we didn't get on. I remember there was someone had seen the Arctic skua, what we would call a parasitic jaeger on this side of the pond, bouncing around out. You're looking out onto the Gulf of Agava here, so you're out over open water, and then a massive flock of gardening. But once we hit 90 here, I think that's when it's like, you know what? How can we do this? I think we kind of written it off before stopping for dinner. It's like there's no way, we're just too far behind. Not enough birds that we can still drive to with the amount of light left. And again, I think my personal tanks were empty at that point too. So I was like, screw it, I can't get there. I'm not gonna make it. But at any rate, this is where we really started hustling, it seemed like. So we hop in the car and say, well, let's go back to the bird watching center. There were a number of birds that we should have gotten there that we couldn't get in the heat of the day, that maybe now in the evening we could get. You could see the color tones changing again here. We're back to that warm light as the sun's getting low on the horizon at 6:15 p.m. So we made a mad dash back to IBRCE. Along the way, we ran a dike where we were able to add common sandpiper and the citrine wagtail to bring us up to 92 species before we got there. So counting them down, citrine, wagtail, a pair of mallards flew out. It was the best I got. Happily, I think one of you got them when they came back in and landed more identifiably. Eric, did you?
Yeah, I got one that's actually you can actually see a
tell
little
it's
bit
a
more.
mallard. I mean, you couldn't tell me it's not a mallard in that picture, but it's didn't eliminate a lot of ducks by that, but maybe not 100%. It's like might be tough trying to separate that from shoveler or gadwall in that shot, right? Anyway, oops, jumping ahead. We were really hustling at this point, I mean, like the food had re-energized us, it wasn't as hot, we weren't getting baked. And we had a few birds in our head. It's like, well, we should be able to find these. We realized we hadn't found a black-headed gull yet, and I was scouring through the thunderbilled gulls and found just one, but that's all we needed, and got that. And opposite, you guys were facing the other direction. I think Austin first spotted this at the exact same time. We also added wood sandpiper, like back to back at that point. Now we're 656, time's ticking down. We decided to run back into the hides because we knew there were some birds we could get there, and we did indeed find the black-crowned night heron, which we knew was in the reeds hiding somewhere, but in the heat of the day they weren't showing. And you can tell the images are starting to get a little rough again here because it's dark. I mean, it's 7:02 and 7:15. This was the last call. The pied kingfishers, there were 3 of them that had been chasing each other all around and trying to get them in flight in that light wasn't working for me, but finally managed to find one perched, and I believe that's where we ended it. I think that was our last bird of the day. And really, even though the pictures don't necessarily show it, we were back to black basically at this point. So
we missed out on a reed warble, didn't we? There was one popping up.
Yeah.
I just could not get it. It was so real frustrating.
Yeah, being a warbler, that's the challenges of it. So that's it, I think, for me. This is just going kind of graphically, the by hour, how many species. We started at the 6 o'clock hour at 15 birds, and then again the 7 o'clock hour, and then we drove. These pits here are driving, and it's kind of amazing. It's not something you see when you're competing in a typical big day, because as you're driving along, everything you see and hear, boom, 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 it still counts. But when we're driving, we get nothing. So that's this peak here, but you can see those first hours are how key they are. You know, this was drive time, and even here we're at 14 hours at the 9 a.m. Like I said, we took about a half an hour, give or take, for a little breakfast stop, little brekkie stop, you know, there. So again, I think we did great. It was a ton of fun, and I'd like to throw this out there right now to our colleagues and friends in Swarovski, at Zeiss, Leica, Opticron, and whomever else, Vortex, if you're listening. We'd like to do it again, and God willing, if there's a champions race and we're allowed, we'd love to have you guys or gals pony up some teams, meet us in the desert, and let's see if we can make this digiscoping category. Let's get some competition in it, and you'll have a lot of fun, I promise you. So throwing out the challenge, the glove, the gauntlet has been dropped. Come play in the desert with Team Kowa Scopers next year if you're feeling froggy. There it is.
Definitely no time for lunch breaks then if that happens, eh?
Oh yeah, no. If we had competition, I think we would have taken a completely different tack this year as well. You know, if you know someone's chasing you down, but like I said, we'd already swept our category before we began, and we knew with certainty we were going to set a new record for the highest digiscoped only list in the history of Champions of Flyway. Is the only team ever to have tried this insane event. But gosh, it was a lot of fun. It was great being with you guys. What thoughts do you have wrapping up?
No, I was gonna say it was so much fun getting to spend that time. As long as we were there, and as long as we were out in the field, it was never boring. I had a lot of fun the whole entire time. Being like the ultimate amateur as far as the digiscoping and birding goes, I definitely have a lot of a newfound respect for you birders. You're crazy. You're out there all the time, regardless of the weather. Yeah, it was so much fun. And the competitive part of it too, you know, when you look back at the numbers we did and stuff, and some of the birds, like you said, the turtle dove story, you know, the sand grouse was there the whole time we were there and missed that. Yeah. You know, but it was great. I mean, all the people involved, the organizers, all the other teams, it's just such a cool event. It's so unique. There's nothing like that over here in the States. And it's much like camaraderie, you know, leading up to the day of, and then afterwards. It's if you haven't had the opportunity and you do have the availability and the opportunity to do so, you got to come check it out. It's really, really something.
Yeah, and you know, to that point, I think the one thing we really hoped to do was that we would not only set this bar, but maybe create a new precedent and a new way for people to compete. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are birding photographers that love taking pictures, and you know, why not more photo only teams? They're really, you know, the important thing about this is, and getting back to the kind of the punchline here, is this is an event supporting conservation. That's the takeaway. The race is a hook. It's a lot of fun. It's you know, kind of the public interest side of to bring attention and focus to these very important conservation causes. You know, over the years, I know there's been like the steppe eagle in 2020. You know, the endangered turtle dove that we already talked about. Trying to remember. Yeah, the year of the vultures, the African vulture species, which are all critically endangered. And there's quite a story behind that. But you know, there's always a really important conservation cause. This year with the red-breasted goose. Happy meeting. We got the red-breasted goose in the background. Want to remind people that you can go to Champions of the Flyway, just championsoftheflyway.com, all with dashes, but just Google Champions of the Flyway, you'll bring up their website, and you can still donate money to the conservation cause through the end of the month. So please, if you're willing to give $5, $10, any amount towards that, you can drop it into the general fund, or if you want, you can drop it, in one of the various teams. Donate to one of the teams. Don't go Kowa Scopers. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, so long as we're making more money and we can write a bigger check to the folks that are doing the critical groundwork to keep this cute little bird over my left shoulder here alive and well. That's why we're here and why we want to compete in Champions of the Flyway. But
hey Jeff, I wanted to say too, we gotta give props to and we're honored to be affiliated with the Women in Step, because I mean, when you're talking about the conservation part of it, I mean, they come out and kill it every year. They're they're always the biggest fundraisers, and they're starting early and working late on it, and they just do such a good job of supporting the conservation annually. So it's really again, really honored to be affiliated with them in any way, and hopefully we can even get close to what they do. We tried to raise some funds. We were a little late to the game doing it, and we had to push, and we had a lot of support too from some of our dealers here domestically that jumped on board. Phone Scope, for instance, they came on board and sponsored the event, and we were each shooting with their phone adapters and things, so it's kind of a great little pairing there. But then also some of our domestic dealers that just believed in the cause, Cameraland out of New York, and then Lancy and Sky down in Houston. They both stepped up and contributed as well. So it was really cool to see some people jump in like that are really affiliated with the event, but understand the importance of it and were willing to help.
No, that was great of them to step it up, and then we got a lot of course, personal donations as well. And I'd like to thank everybody for stepping up and being a champion of the Flyway, and again, donating to these really, really important, really key events. I'm trying to think what else I was going to. Just quickly, share the screen here for Champions of Flyway so we can show you more effectively. I think I can. Where to go? Share screen. The big green button. Okay, it used to be on the top. It switched. Okay, boom. Okay, so here's Champions of the Flyway website. You can see it's www.champions-of-the-flyway.com. You can go in and hit the 2023 teams, and you can pick your favorite team. Here's Kowa Women in Step. We're down here, Team Kowa Scopers. Click that, and you can see to donate here. You can also read the bios for the various teams, read what self-deprecating things we've written about ourselves. But I haven't checked in a while. Let's see. So come on, wait for it. So 77% of our hoped conservation goal of $5,000. We still got some time, but that's where you would donate if you wanted to, and you can do the same with any one of the teams. Doesn't matter. The Women in Step are awesome. I'd like to say that I'm proud of our effort, gentlemen. What we did here, and the Birder Show as well, which we sponsor. I think we're the top 3 teams, and between us and Women in Step, who had they were $15,000 maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, ballpark. I mean, immensely more than everyone else. But between the 3 of us, the 3 Kowa teams, I'm really proud of what we were able to do. I think we generated over, a massive amount of the total money raised. So we did our best, I think, for that. So that's all I got there. And again, great time with all you in the desert. Any parting thoughts for the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward, hopefully be able to do it again next year. And again, I can't say enough about the event, but also, never being over in that part of the world. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. The people are just fantastic. The food's great. It was, I mean, it was an all around great experience. And again, if you ever get a chance to, whether it's with the event or not, to go visit the area, it is something. And then it was cool too. This is sidebar, but going up to the JBO and seeing that's a really neat kind of wedge right there in the city of Jerusalem. That was a really cool detour.
Yeah, and you do that, the Alon Bird Watching Center and JBO both. It's really cool how everything's kind of front facing. And you know, as visitors, you get to be right there and watch as they're ringing the birds, and you know, get to see them up close and personal. It's a really wonderful experience. I also love how, in both cases, they're supporting the young people. You know, most of the banders are, you know, the younger folks that have come through the ranks. The number of youth teams that you know, they've pushed out through these organizations is just spectacular. And that was another thing I think that really moved us. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
K20, you know, when we ran into the JBO team.
Yeah, that was the best of it. Was we'd spent half an hour trying to photograph that white-throated kingfisher on race day, and then we get to JBO and there's one about 5 feet just motionless from the height.
Yeah.
You know, that was a great view, that was. But yeah, I really enjoyed visiting the JBO. That was really nice. Yeah, the whole experience. It just never. You just won't. It's something that you'll never forget, really. And the one thing that the legacy for me is as well, coming back and you know. It just fired me up for digiscoping and bird watching and just getting out into nature in general now. It's been having a week solid like that. It's just really sparked my own interest again. So
yeah, I'm glad we could get you jump started again, Rob. We need you on that wall.
Yeah. But yeah, good. I think if you go onto like our Facebook page and things, we did so much documentation of the trip. There's lots of you can almost follow the story, can't you, on social media, from getting there right through to finishing. So yeah, it was just an amazing adventure.
Yeah, and we've got a bunch of evergreen content there as well. We still have to find a clever way to kind of put up the gallery. I think we promised to do that, but you get a taste of it here, and kind of the rundown and some of the birds along the way through our trek here. Can't think of much else. I guess going back to what Paul had said, I guess one thing I didn't really touch on, kind of assumed people know that already, but why Israel, right? And why a lot? Well, you may or may not be aware that a lot Israel is a world-renowned location for migration. It's the thin little land bridge between Africa and going into Europe and Asia, respectively. So literally millions and millions of birds pass through there, and it can be great for visible migration, which on race day, unlike every other day that we've seen, we really didn't see a lot of the migration, and that hurt us as well. I was banking on we'll probably get 10 raptor species maybe that we'd be able to get pictures of, and I think we got 4 or 5, because when we saw that Mars harrier was the only harrier we saw, didn't see any steppe eagles, didn't have like booted eagle, all the birds that we've seen kind of every day in scouting, snake eagles, or snake eagles, that Egyptian vulture, none of that. It was just no visible migration. And I think what had happened is they just got super high that day, and they were up there. We just couldn't see them.
Well, and I think honestly that disproportionately affected us, because teams like Women in Steppe and the Birders Show and them, they were able to tick just the one snake eagle they would see 3 miles up in the sky, and we weren't bothering ourselves with trying to look at dots in the sky. We were focusing on what we could actually get a photo of. So even if we didn't see them, they were there. They just maybe were just dots that we weren't bothering trying to get a photo of, a little dot.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if we did, it wouldn't have been identifiable, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing too. It's a totally different and unique way of doing it. And I really had fun with it. I've gone a little bit crazy maybe with this digiscoping thing. I suppose you could suggest I'm a bit I'm taking it a little too seriously. I'm at 497 species for the year that I've managed the Kowa Scope, by the way. So closing in on 500 and gonna set my new bar. So I'm a little manic with it, you know. I've got someone to help me on the side, you know, keep me going too.
Yeah. But again, it was a great time with you guys. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully we can catch up and reminisce in person at Bird Fair in July. There was, again, and I'm it's shameless plug, but I've got to thank Kowa, our boss, Moto. So lucky to work for a company that gets behind the things that you believe in, that you want to support, and they just do it without question because they know it's important. And yeah, it's been real fun to be able to do these kind of things, not only this event and other events, but you know, different programs and things we sponsor, and it's all you know, thanks to their belief and support that it's important for conservation, for up and coming birders, you know, for the future of you know, the use of our products, really, to make sure you're you know, out there and doing more than just selling. You're out there helping the cause.
Yeah, and you couldn't agree more. It's you know, we both have worked for a couple different companies over the years, and couldn't agree more. It's so refreshing to have a company that corporately, you know, really supports the community and the resources, and stands behind it, and is eager to, you know, to look for new ideas and new ways to support. So we're lucky.
Really cool to think for once in a lifetime experience.
Once in a lifetime. You're not coming back next year?
Well, I mean, it's a different experience.
You know, all right.
Without
All right,
you doing that, keeping a score on the tally, that would have been an absolute nightmare. Your role was really critical on that day.
Integral for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, keeping track of what, you know, do we get that? Yeah, do we not get that? Yeah, it's that was tough. I don't know, Rob, did you run into any Bedouin tea yet? You find any locally?
It's go and buy my incense and things to burn, you know, and yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
That was.
All right. I guess we're just having too much fun. You can tell we had a lot of fun in the field, great synergy on the team. And thanks everyone who joined us and popped in to listen to our tales of both woe and excitement, and you know, what we were able to experience. And hopefully that gives you an idea of how the day went. I guess
We
we'll
got
sign out till the next one.
a question real quick from Elizabeth Porter.
What we got here? I'm not seeing that one.
If you go
plans
to
are rolling for champions. We got plans are rolling for champions 2024. See you there, from Elena Casal. Oh, there it is. It just came through on mine. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for stopping in, everybody. We'll talk to you all soon. Gentlemen, be well. It's good seeing your faces again. I'll bring the van around, get the band back together soon.
Yeah, and if anybody has any follow-up questions too, feel free to reach out to us. We're all pretty much available. You can get me at pjcardos at kowa.com, jeff.boughton at kowa.com. Yeah.
Even customer service at kowa.com. If you can't remember that, it's a third option. Well, it'll find its way to us. So,
Yep.
Well,
thanks again, everybody.
Stick this webinar up on the YouTube channel if you want to go through it again at your leisure. So, yeah, so there's and all the other webinars are up there as well. So well worth a visit.
All right,
gentlemen.
Are we ready?
Have a wonderful day.
Yes.
You too.
Bye.
So long, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks
See
for
ya.
dropping in. Bye.